Hello everyone and welcome to another beer review. Now today we're doing a quick review of the Christmas beer that was suggested by a few of the viewers who basically suggested I should do an Old Peculiar style beer and see how that goes. So I did it, but I've done it I was going to do a small batch and I decided to do a bigger batch. And when I did a bigger batch, I thought what we'll do is we'll do a different types of conditioning. So this is the first one. So this is basically the first one that's been conditioned in the fermenter. So it's just been left in the fermenter for a week and see what it's like. It's had some beer clear added to it and things like that just to kind of help. But nothing has been added and nothing's been set up for any kind of secondary fermentation. I will be obviously doing 2 pressurized conditionings. Pressurized cask conditionings, and I will do one with kind of basically treacle or molasses, and I will do one with a different kind of sugar, like more kind of I'll put in what we call muscovado sugar, and we'll see what it's like. So we'll see it with the actual treacle, we'll see what it's like with the muscovado, and I'll also do one as a kind of control just without anything else added at all, but just a longer conditioning time. So the next one will be reviewed probably closer to Christmas. This is now the start of December. I think it's the 1st or 2nd. I think it's the 2nd. So we'll do one probably in a few weeks time closer towards Christmas and see what it's like. But we've also got some other things coming up because it's we're now into December. I'm not going to do what I did last year and do a review for every day leading up to Christmas, you know, the Advent as they call it. But what we do have coming up is we've got 2 donations that we'll be doing on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve. That's the 2 we're going to be doing. So we're going to be doing 2 different ones, and they're, how would you say, kind of older beers basically. So we've got an old one here which is an Imperial Russian Stout, and it's a 10% one, and this is from a Courage Imperial Russian Stout. So I'll just give you a quick flash. So this was donated by Adrian, both of these beers, so we've got this to kind of look at from that point of view. So we'll be doing that, and just these are being, he found them in his loft and he thought this would be a great idea to try it. And then we've got Tully's Jubilee Ale. God knows what these are going to be like. And this was obviously from the Tullymarsh Brews Limited, Ipswich, London and Cambridge, and there's no real much details on that apart from there must be a bit of it because the beer's down to there in it, so there's been a little bit of loss. And it's specially brewed in celebration of the foundation of the company in 1896. So I don't know if this was done in 1996 or whatever, I don't know, but it's an interesting one. So we'll be reviewing them. One will be on Christmas Eve and one will be on, this one will probably be on Christmas Day. And if it makes bill, then I'll be coming after Adrian for that one. But anyway, so that's what we've got coming up. We've got some other kind of Christmas beers that we're going to be doing over the kind of period as well, and any kind of Christmas bargains that we'll kind of look out for and try and kind of let you know. But this is what we've got. I've just taken some out and from basically the fermenter. I actually took some out last night and I thought I'd have a few glasses just to kind of taste, and just the whole idea was because I'd have to pressurize it, so that's why I kind of adjusted it to kind of get the gas, because I'm adding my own CO2 to it. So it's completely flat coming out of the fermenter, and I thought, well, I'll gas it myself with the CO2. So of course I've got to taste it to see what it's like. It's a terrible job. But anyway, so we did that. And this is what we've got. Now, what it smells of, I'm getting kind of malt, I'm getting dark roasted malt, I'm getting molasses, I'm getting it. And remember what was put in here was Belgian candied sugar crystals that was put in this. So that was kind of providing the kind of the sweetness and the slightly kind of dark, kind of molasses, kind of sugariness. So that's what it was. But yeah, I'm getting grain, I'm getting a lot of dark malt, and I'm getting a kind of slightly kind of molasses smell with a slight sweetness. So let's see what it tastes like. Right. The flavours are there. That's one good thing. The flavours are there. It's got that balance in the aftertaste, whereas they've got the slight, the kind of the bitterness in the aftertaste, but you've also got the sweetness as well, which is what that's the thing that makes kind of Old Peculiar kind of stand out. It doesn't have a bitter finish, it doesn't have a sweet finish, it has kind of a dual finish. So you have the balance finish, but there is quite a strong bitterness to it, but there's also kind of strong kind of sweetness as well that kind of balances the kind of bitterness out. It's got the roasted malts and everything else. What I would say though, it does need longer to condition, and I expected that for the type of beer. Usually beer, especially with a lot of roasted malts, need time to settle, and they also kind of benefit from a little bit of secondary fermentation. So I would expect that this will get better just left alone, but it'll be interesting to see what I'm going to do two kind of pressurised, like I said, conditions of this. So one's going to be in a pressurised cask with treacle or molasses, and one's going to be with the muscovado sugar, and then we'll see. So obviously it'll build up some gas as well, because this starts off as really flat, so it means that I won't have to add so much CO2 when I put it through the beer monster and see what it's like. And that's why I've got this. That's one of the reasons why I bought beer monsters, because I could put it into this actual supplied homebrew keg, and of course I can pressurise it and dispense it and do what I like with, which gives me a lot more options with kind of homebrew beer that you just wouldn't get with a lot of these other supposedly serious beer machines like Perfect Draft and things like that, which of course all you can do is just buy kegs, pre-made kegs, and fire them in. I can make my own stuff and put it through the beer monster. So for me that is more important, because I can obviously take a flat beer straight from the fermenter, put it through there and add my own CO2 and just get it the way I want it. And it's got quite a nice mouthfeel. It's probably closer to the draft rather than the cans. I mean, there is obviously a bit of carbonation there, but it is just that nice kind of what we call velvety kind of mouthfeel, which is nice. It's nice that you can just dial it the way you want it. But overall, it's actually quite a nice pint. It really is. It's quite nice. Never did this, but I'll better do this. But yeah. So yes, it's actually quite a nice pint, and I think it's going to be good for Christmas if I don't drink so much of it. So I need to kind of stay away from it, because I'm a bugger for when I have homebrew, because I can't leave it alone. Just a wee pint. And then you be sitting there before bed, and I've still got time for another wee pint. And then next minute you go, you think, oh good, right, so I've still got some of that, no I haven't, I've drunk it all, shit. So I don't want to get to that type of situation before Christmas, because I want to enjoy some of this before Christmas. But it's also interesting because some people have told us that they have it in good authority that treacle is used as a primer during the conditioning. I'm going to try the muscovado sugar because it's really the kind of sugar equivalent of treacle or molasses, and I just want to see, because I don't want it to be too much, because it's actually got quite a lot of that kind of flavour already in there from the dark candied Belgian sugar crystals. But as you can see, it's got a wee bit of life to it, and it's not even proper conditioned yet, but it's got some of the nice flavours. I mean, the bitterness needs to develop a bit more. I mean, it's got the bitterness there, but it just needs to kind of develop it a bit more, and it will get that just by basically even just sitting there conditioning in its own juices, as they say. So yes, it'll be quite nice from that point of view. The sweetness is already there, so I don't expect the sweetness to really expand very much. I mean, this is there was 3 different types of hops used on this during the kind of mash and wort kind of process, and there was a good mixture of grains. I'm trying to remember all the different grains, but there was a good mixture of grains, and the main thing was they had the Belgian candy sugar was recommended as part of the recipe, so I got some of that as part of it. But I would say that with the conditioning, with the conditioning and priming with treacle and with the muscovado sugar, you will get a little bit more sweetness. But what you will do is you also get a little bit more bitterness from this as well, because you'll get that little more kind of dry molasses bitterness, which is of course what Old Peculiar is kind of famous for. There is the dry bitterness to it, but it has this balance of sugar in the aftertaste. So yes, so the whole idea is, if this just develops the way it is, it will be a nice pint. Now what I will do is, when we will do the kind of final review between the 3 different types, so we're going to have 3 different ones to do. Now how am I going to do it? I'll need to think about this, because to put it through the beer machine, well, yeah, what I'll do is I'll compare it to the original. So I'll probably do 3 reviews of this beer with the 3 different types of conditioning options. But what I will do is I will compare it with the original. Okay, unfortunately it will be from the can or the bottle, but at least we can kind of compare it to as close as we can to kind of the original as possible, and we'll see if it's kind of near it or not. But in general, it's not too bad. It pours more like the draft. It's not really got the big head. I mean, I think when I poured it, I had a bit of head about that. But it's that kind of what we call prawn cracker head, slightly, or a bit like the fairy bubbles head, which is traditionally what you would get with the traditional Old Peculiar and draft, which was quite a flat beer. So, out of 10, what would I give this at the moment? At the moment, I'm not going to compare it to the Old Peculiar, because I don't think it would be close enough from that point of view, just because it hasn't been conditioned long enough. But if I take it just as a home brew beer, like say as a kind of a dark beer, right now I would give it roughly about 4, maybe 5 out of 10. I mean, the flavour profiles are there. It's not quite balanced yet, because of course it's not really finished its proper conditioning. But there's a nice freshness to it. You can taste some nice flavour profiles there, that knowing that if it's going to get a chance to condition, then it's going to improve, and these flavours will develop, and it's going to become a better beer. So even if I was starting off as a 4, I would expect it maybe to get at least a 6 out of it. If I say it's closer to a 5, then, well, I'd be probably disappointed if I could only get a 6 out of it. So we'll have to kind of look at it from that point of view. But right now I would probably say it's kind of roughly about 4 or 5. It needs more conditioning time, but it's a good start, and I want to thank everybody for recommending it, because it was a really, really good idea. And it'll be interesting to see what we get with the other kind of conditioning options, and we'll keep you posted. In the meantime, look forward to Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, where you get to see me try these old beers that are probably kind of quite nasty. So if you want to see me kind of suffer, which I probably will do, then especially on Christmas Day, Jesus God, look at the stairs. What the hell am I doing? But anyway, I will be reviewing this one on Christmas Day. Whether I see Boxing Day, God knows, but there's that. And then, of course, you've got this originally brewed in 1795 for Catherine the Great of Russia, and Jesus, courage. And it's even got a stamp number, so basically they only did 210,000 bottles of this. And this is bottle 128,468. Oh, Jesus God. So yeah, there's some ones for coming up in the future. And apparently it's brewed to perfection only once a year. Enjoy now or allowed to mature for up to 13 years. Jesus God. So I don't know how long. Oh, wait a minute, we might be on here. This is a 2012 vintage. So this is 10 years, so this is still within the realms of its 13 years it's allowed to mature in the bottle. So this could be quite interesting. It's a 275ml bottle and it's 10% alcohol. So this one could be a good one. This could be quite rewarding for Christmas Eve. This could be an effing disaster. Well, it's going to be an effing disaster, let's be totally honest. But yeah, so yeah, look out for that. And between now and Christmas time, we'll be looking to see what kind of bargains there are in the shops in the UK. It'd be great if I could tell you what bargains are anywhere else around the world, but unfortunately it's going to be very difficult. But what we'll do is we'll try and look for any kind of specialist kind of Christmas beers, and we'll try them and let you know what they're like. So anyway, that's us for this review. Thanks for watching, and no, thanks for watching. Cheers, and bye for now.